Huber, I'm excited to have you on the pod because I saw whisperings this week that
Yeah.
Ubisoft is officially thinking of tabling the Watch Dogs series.
When I'm like skeptical or like not into something initially,
Yeah.
somehow it ends up becoming like my favorite thing ever.
That's been happening
when-
to me so much the last year also.
Yeah. So I super remember the Watch Dogs 1 reveal. And immediately I remember everyone was so hyped. They were like, yo, this is the future of games. This is like the GTA killer. I remember everyone was saying at that time the hype was
God.
the hype was unreal. And I was like, GTA killer, like, have you guys played Assassin's Creed? Like, there's no way this is gonna be like, this will be a fine, cool game, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just remember playing it and I'm like, this is not a GTA killer, but this game is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I just remember a lot of the main complaints were things that I loved. Mainly among them, Aiden Pierce and how deeply serious that game was.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I love about Watch Dogs. I think the story has been so dismissed, and it's actually really, really good. Like, just on a basic emotional level of like Aiden Pierce, family, like murder, looking for revenge. So just that, it's like, okay, I'm down. Like, this guy got freaking like drive-by shooting, and
Yeah.
I think his sister, it was like his sister, right? His sister died or whatever. And then all of just like the freaking corporate oversight, like a surveillance state, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think it's so interesting, and like not a lot of games, like games obviously cover that theme, but obviously Watch Dogs goes like all in on it, and I think it does it really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Aiden Pierce is a pretty hated character in games, and I'm like, why? He's fine.
I love Aiden Pierce. I know. Why is he so hated?
People hate him. And like Max Payne kind of has the same energy of all the stuff he's going through, and he's just as serious.
Yeah.
So why does Max Payne get all the roses? As someone who also loves Max Payne stuff,
same. Yeah.
Why is
Good
Aiden Pierce
comparison.
like this vilified, horrible guy?
Incredible comparison. 100%. I have no idea why. Just like a couple, I feel like a couple things just happen on social media, and then that becomes the narrative, maybe. Just like it snowballed into like, this guy's a nerd, this guy's lame, and then just like that became it. Like Aiden Pierce just gets dunked on.
That's one of those, it's like, it was like the zeitgeist that did that, and I'm really curious to what, because you're totally right, it was definitely like something else was coming out around the same time that had a really boisterous protagonist maybe, or someone had a really funny tweet that went viral that made fun of his hat or something, because that's what kind of the chat says, is like, it's the hat. His hat was lame, I'll give you that, he had an ugly hat. But other than that, he's kind of just like the classic stoic protagonist. And then the new mechanics in that game were really cool enough to like make it interesting enough for me to play it. And I never really got the, he's not I like Marcus a lot more, like in Watch Dogs 2. I really like Marcus. So I don't like Aiden as much as Marcus, but I never really got the like, Aiden Pierce is one of the worst protagonists in video game history. I'm like, why? What do you do?
Yeah. Haley, Marcus Holloway is one of my favorite video game protagonists of all time.
I love him.
Oh my God. Yes. Marcus, like I loved Watch Dogs and Ultra Serious Aiden, and then Marcus in 2 is the reason that I was like, yo, Watch Dogs is actually incredible. Like that was it. That like set me off onto just like, yo, I really love this series.
Yeah. And the surveillance state stuff like you're talking about, like it's like especially, it maybe not as poignant back in 2014, but now especially where our cars are collecting so much data on us, and none of them are passing any of the GDPR regulations to disclose it.
Yeah.
What does that mean? There was a company the other day, and I immediately thought of Watch Dogs that was just like, oh, we're starting we have this new app where the car will track who's in the car and make a portfolio of you and the reason that they were collecting all that data was like, so that when you get in the car, it'll adjust the seat to your height, like blah, 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 like trying to make it seem like, oh, it's just so your life will be better. And I'm like, you don't think insurance companies are going to be getting this data and like using it to make everything worse, you guys? And that would so have been like a side mission in Watch Dogs is like hack into the data of cars to Deuce XYZ. Like it really was the side missions in that game especially were very fun, and that it really was good satire. Like it really made fun of what the big tech companies were doing with our data when they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Finding just like getting into people's like rooms and stuff, and they're like, you know, you have to see like a politician like having an affair or something. Like, those missions were so fun.
And you'd have to connect everybody's different like Amazon Alexa type speakers to get up the building to get to the actual person you wanted to hack. And the whole way up, all this other stuff was happening. You could stop and stare at if you wanted to, or you could just keep going up.
Yes, like climbing in Assassin's Creed. Okay, is the thing. It's like hacking in Watch Dogs to me is as good as climbing in Assassin's Creed. Like I love the hacking and just like how puzzly it is, and how like they have such a perfect balance of like how complex it is. You can do a lot of stuff, but it's also really simple and streamlined at the same time. So cool. Just like ping to this person and move this camera, like all of that, just figuring out that puzzle piece is so fun.
Yeah, and it felt like natural to like, it wasn't like some futuristic world where everything's computerized. It was like actual tech that I look around, it's like smart appliances I have in my house that made me go, oh my God, maybe like my fridge could get hacked by Marcus like you to like do XYZ. Like it's great. And then I thought all the options they give you for it had one of the best skill trees in game. 2 specifically, like getting the spider bot and like leveling it up to make missions easier. All the other tech you could use to like just get through like it genuinely felt like at the start you only had a couple options, and by the end you were just like zooming through using all your tech really fast, and you felt like a badass.
Yeah, insane. And Marcus's like little ball melee weapon thing was so cool. Oh my God, and I loved that. In 2, Marcus is the best. Marcus is like just a hacker. He's not a killer. He's not a murderer. So it was like the most realistic portrayal of like a non-lethal game.
Yeah.
You know, like you didn't want to kill anybody. It was like the context of going non-lethal in Watch Dogs 2 specifically, I think was so well done.
Yeah, it's
because even in like GTA, when I'm like Franklin and I'm out there like shooting people, it's like, okay, that's kind of Franklin just killed like 10 people. Like, all right.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like obviously GTA has multiple protagonists, so it's like, all right, if I'm gonna kill people, I'm gonna switch to Trevor or
where
something.
it makes sense.
But
yeah.
No. Then I remember it was really fun because with the Watch Dogs, when Aiden came back, it was like, okay, Aiden Pierce is a murderer, so like let's be a little more vicious.
I never really thought about that. That's a good point, though. It's kind of like what Spider-Man tries to do. It's like, Spider-Man doesn't kill people. And I'm like, okay, but I just knocked someone off a building and I didn't see him zip him to the side of anything. So that guy's dead. Like, you're lying to me. That kind of takes me out of immersion. But in this, it was not an issue, because if you punched like an NPC, you got arrested, and the game would be like, there was pretty quick repercussions to if I, Haley, punched an NPC, a person. I almost just called real humans NPCs. If I punched a person on the street, I would get in trouble in the same way Marcus would. So you have to hack. Like, that was really interesting.
And then I went to school in San Francisco, so I lived there for like 5 years.
Oh, cool.
So Watch Dogs 2, then obviously, you know, because I lived there for so long, it's just like such a good open world representation of San Francisco. It is one of my absolute favorites.
I know.
Such a nice open world in that game. It's so
it's beautiful.
So good. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, sometimes people hate on Ubisoft games because it's like, it's the same thing, you're just collecting stuff. But I'm like, their environments look way better than most other AAA studios, and I feel like no one really talks about that either.
Yeah, I put Watch Dogs 2 like up there with the absolute best that Ubisoft has ever done. I need to replay it. I was actually just talking about this. It's like, I need to replay this to like really definitively be able to say that.
Yeah.
Because as of now, it's like, I put Assassin's Creed 2 and like Watch Dogs 2, Splinter Cell, like at the very tip top.
And also just the level variety. Like, people also complain, like, most games that are open world is just go here, shoot guy. And like, yeah, your go here hack stuff, but every level was so unique and different. Like you're going to
And you have to think.
the
Yeah.
festival where you're hacking that big statue. That's like it was kind of like Coachella, and you have to like sneak in through the crowd and then hack the big Coachella statue that has tech inside it.
Yeah.
Make it do stuff. Like, even though you were still kind of doing the same mechanics over and over and like getting better through the skill tree, it was like getting attached to really spunky stuff that made it more fun. Like, it wasn't just warehouse like a lot of those kind of games can do. There was a lot of outside during the day, cool missions that were colorful and fun.
I remember like sneaking into a guy's penthouse on a roof.
Yes. Oh, that big church,
cool.
that when you have to sneak into that big church compound, that was cool.
Yep.
That was really, I remember that one being really hard and I died like a million times.
Yeah, there's some hard ones for sure.
And there's a lot of fun environmental storytelling. Remember in that church compound one, like if you sneak into the basement, there's a ton of vintage, like $1 million cars. So they're like insinuating like all the people in the church take the money from the tiths and stuff and just buy really cool cars. And then using those to turn them on to make the engines beep so that everyone comes down to see what's going on so you can go up. It's like, oh, it's so fun.
Oh, sick.
I think I like Watch Dogs 2 the most out of all three of the games.
Absolutely same.
Yeah.
And it was so surprising too, just how invested I was in the story. And because, you know, you see some of those characters like Wrench and stuff.
I love Wrench.
Exactly. But like on the surface level, you know, that trailer gets revealed at a press conference and then people see that character and just, you know, start dunking on it because it's, oh, Ubisoft, weird, quirky characters. Ha ha ha. Like so cheesy. And it's like, when you play that game and you actually get to know Wrench, he's such a good character.
Yeah, so, people get distracted by like the emoticon eye helmet thing. It's like, yeah, that's a little silly or whatever, but like there's good writing in there. I think people just discredit it because it's Watch Dogs, which again, I don't know where that comes from.
I know. And like T-Bone, I know he had some of his own DLC.
Yeah.
He plays a big role. Like T-Bone is such a good character too.
Yeah.
Then we got Watch Dogs Legion, and I don't like it.
I didn't mind. Here's my problem. My main problem with Watch Dogs Legion. Here's the thing. I love all the Watch Dogs games. I have played all three. I actually Platinum 2 and Legion because I like just got really into them at the time. I just want the Platinum for these. And my main takeaway with Legion, having put probably double the hours I needed to into that game just for serotonin boost trophy reasons. As soon as you unlock that platform you can stand on and hack and then float into levels, it's like nothing matters anymore. There's no more fun in it.
100%. 100%.
What's the point? At least with Watch Dogs 2, when I was doing my skill tree and stuff, it just felt like I could do the same stuff at the same rate, but cooler. Like I just felt cooler the whole time, but it's not like I could just hack and get to the final room in 10 seconds and then like skip everything. And then, you know, people could say, like, just don't use the levitation thing to get to the end of the level and just hack into the one computer you need to instead of go through the whole level. But it's like, I'm going to do this if that's like, I don't know. Maybe that.
If it's in the game, like, why would I not use it if it's there? It's not like I'm exploiting or cheating or hacking or anything. It's like, no pun intended, but it's like the actual game mechanic. I will always use the game mechanics as intended if I'm allowed to. I won't put like weird restrictions on me to make the game better because the developers didn't foresee that breaking the game.
And I genuinely think they didn't foresee it enough. Like there were so many levels where the only thing you needed to hack happened to be near a window or something, and there was these building levels that where you're supposed to be going through all these rooms, and there's obviously a lot of set pieces set up, but I would just go around and I could hack it through the window, and I finished an hour-long mission in like 10 seconds. And I'm like, that sucks, because I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna do that if it's an option because I'm a hacker. Shouldn't I do that? That's like part of the job, is to do this as quick as possible with minimum risk. Like that really bummed me out when I realized that, I just kind of broke this in my brain and it's not as fun anymore.
And so that's like the gameplay, and then of course I was just, you know, we were just praising the characters of this series. Just with all the like archetype characters, you know, you don't really recruit real people. It's just like random NPC number 1, random NPC number 2. That's what I didn't like. There was nobody to connect with. Obviously, like the main characters of the story on on the fringes, but like the people you play as,
Yeah.
I just didn't connect with any of them. Like going from Marcus to like generic NPC number 1 that I recruited, like
road builder guy number 20.
such a bummer, such a bummer.
Yeah, and I remember when that game was getting announced and like teased, is that was their big thing, was like, we have this crazy engine, you can be anyone in the game. And I remember being like, wow, that's really cool. And then I think they really didn't take it anywhere other than, yeah, I can be anyone in the game, but then what? Like, I'm just this guy, and then I'll do the same stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Did you mess around with any like multiplayer in any of the games?
I remember, because part of the trophies in 2 especially were some multiplayer ones. Did Legion even have multiplayer? I can't even remember. Maybe not, but I know 2 did.
I think they added something later on, actually. I think it might have been delayed initially and they added it.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the missions for 2 to get the trophies was hard because I was playing it pretty late from its popularity, so no one was online. So I was trying to get like a few of the I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but it was like, you and a person do this mission multiplayer and get to the entire thing. And what was hard was no one would stick around to finish it. Like they would play with me for a bit and then leave, and I could still finish it solo, but then I wouldn't get the trophy. And I remember just those trophies taking months because no one was playing it anymore. And I was just like, this game's cool. People play with me so I can get my multiplayer trophies, please.
I remember being super obsessed for a minute. It's in number 1 or 2, the mode where like you would invade somebody's game and you would have to hack them.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was so fun. It was just a big game of hide and seek.
Yeah.
You would just like hide behind a bush and be hacking them, and then you'd see them like running around, like looking and like getting closer, just like they're getting closer, and then you would go to like where they had already looked. Like that was so simple and so fun. There's got to be a way to like bring something like that back. Oh, yeah, I loved that.
It's kind of like prop hunt before prop hunt if you weren't props. Like just hide and seek in a game via like unique gameplay mechanics. You didn't pretend to be a chair. You were just yourself, but you had to just walk around naturally. I remember the stress of like being in a group of people, and I could see on the blip like the hacker was coming near me, and just to like pretend to walk normal and like be like a normal style like an NPC would probably turn right here, and like doing that was so fun.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it also kind of dampens it that it ended on Legion, which was, I agree, kind of like a downstroke after 2.
Yeah, we did have the DLC, which was nice. The Aiden Pierce DLC. He came back finally. I really liked that. It was pretty brutal, I remember.
Yeah.
And then there was like a little nod to Marcus in there. Spoiler alert, just like a tiny little cameo Easter egg.
Yeah.
So it was nice to like get back there. But then I just remember it brought out just what I disliked about Legion to begin with. It was like, oh, now I'm actually like a cool character and like
it's been
going through these. Yeah. So there are some games over the years that I feel are definitely judged way too harshly for how good a quality there are. And I get like a little upset about it. You know, I think of The Order 1886. I think of Days Gone, and I think of Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was lucky enough, I guess, to have gotten 3 games. I mean, that's a lot. That really is a lot. I can't really complain about that. But it's a bummer now that they just like clearly don't think enough people like it, and then Legion was just so poorly received. I guess they're just like, all right, no more Watch Dogs. When really it's like if they did one more and they went back to the original template, like how it used to be, like 1 and 2, and give it another chance, would it catch on this time, or would people write it off? I don't know.
Because there's so much more going on in the world right now too that would lend itself to a cool, like a Watch Dogs 3. It doesn't have to be Marcus, but someone of that energy, where we're again going back to that satirical gameplay loop that's really satisfying, because people are so frustrated with what tech can do in our world in real life, that it's very satisfying to go into a world where you're toppling those regimes as like a hacker. Because I wish I was a little hacker able to take down like jerk corporate billionaires who just sell data to companies who then abuse it. Like that's so satisfying that I could have agency to do. That's a good game world to play in 2024 and forward.
I feel like people should like that. Like, who is complaining about Aiden Pierce like smacking some corporate suit with a baton? Like, yes, please. Like, I want to do this in a video game.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the feeling.
Too violent.
It reminds me of the feeling you get playing Persona 5, where you're like the whole point of the palaces is toppling people in power who are abusing power, and like it always felt good at the end. It's like, hey, this jerk gym teacher who is like sexually abusing teens, we just took him down. Like, that feels great. It's like the same kind of feeling I had in Watch Dogs. It's like, oh, the guy who owns Twitter is selling data to this company who then uses it to human traffic, and like the whole mission is just taking him down. By the end of that, you're like, I feel great. I don't know. I just think that's a good reason to have a gameplay loop attached to it. You could kind of attach any mechanics, and I'd be interested in that I agree, carrot on a stick enough to want to see it through.
I love that, because it's about buying in, and that's what I love to do when I play a game. I love to buy into the world, to the mechanics, to whatever it's trying to tell me, just like open-minded, optimistic about it, rather than immediately poo-pooing on Aiden Pierce for having a weird hat. It's like no, let me give this a chance. Let me be this character and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
This was just a clip from our Patreon exclusive podcast called Bonus Pod. If you support MinnMax on Patreon at the $5 tier, you unlock Bonus Pod each and every week. Haley McLean is joined by cohorts to talk about whatever they want. It's kind of the sister show, the companion show to the MinnMax Show podcast. So there's even more content in here. Also, we take calls from members of the community, and we can really dive into the weeds on stuff. So if you want to more than double the amount of podcasts from MinnMax every week, support MinnMax on Patreon at the $5 tier. Thanks so much.